Hey, what's up, everybody? Dan Tom here, analyst and host of the Protect Your Neck podcast. You see my work at MMAJunkie.com as well as ActionNetwork.com. But on this year program, the Protect Your Neck podcast, we break down high-level MMA, and that's what we're going to do here today, tonight, whenever you're listening to this. Hopefully it's before the fight. Recording this live. What's going on? Sorry, your ears there. Live from, not on Saturday night, Thursday night. Of course, here on my YouTube channel, Dan Tom MMA, where you can find me at Dan Tom MMA. Add the cheeky underscores as you see in the name tag here. We have a little creepy thumbs up, little thumb there. If you want to find me on the old IG, already seeing you guys pile in with the likes attached. I appreciate that. Look at that. The likes match the viewers. It's not a lot, but we're just starting the show. I'm happy you guys are here. I'm going to give you guys the love you give me. It's the least I could do. But yeah, thumbs up, positive ratings and reviews. We'll be doing a quick shout. But yeah, we're here to break down, of course, the fights. I should have said before you listen for the fight, plural, the fights. Bellator 300 and UFC Fight Night 80. I didn't want to, make the banner more complicated than it needed to be. Especially for the kind person who helps me, hearts and appreciations. But yeah, we are going to be doing a bit of Bellator's top little product placement here. Matches the shirt. Thank you, D Love. We'll get to that in a second. And yeah, we recapped on the last episode. The air quotes off week was not an off week. Side Contender Series still hit you guys here. With some Evergreen, as well as released a top 5 heavyweights Evergreen on Junkie. We did top 5 middleweights here, and on that episode, I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad. I just wanted to, get it done with. Maybe we'll have a faster episode here. We'll see. Knock on wood. If you're gonna if you want any kind of a recap for the last Bellator show or the last UFC show, go check the last podcast. This is episode 374. So yeah, go check episode 373. There is timestamps attached. So if you don't want to listen to it and you just want the top 5 or vice versa, you guys can do that. But it was a winning night there, and that's awesome. So that's about all we're gonna say here. But yeah, we'll be doing UFC Vegas 80, UFC Fight Night 229, UFC Fight Night Dawson versus Green, and of course Bellator 300, which was 4 title fights, but it will do 3. James Kendrick, quick question to start. Jack Slack recently said that coaching is a different skill set to film study. Do you agree? Yeah, absolutely, I agree. He mentioned that film study takes hours and some coaches don't have the time. That is absolutely true. A lot of coaches outsource it to people like myself. Ghost Phantom, shout out to him in the chat. I know other friends of the show, analysts who I respect, Connor Rebush, has done some for coaches as well in the community. It's not an uncommon thing. Oh, how could I forget? Of course, my guy Schwan Humes. He's done it especially from the WMMA scene. Plenty of people have done it. But yeah, it is very time consuming. I surprise, I agree with Jack Slack there. Jimmy Kudo in the house, the enforcer. Hi, boys and girls of the chat. Let's be positive today. There are already a lot of negativity around the MMA space. Let's cheer Dan on and have some fruitful convos. Well, I appreciate that. You don't have to agree with me or even cheer me on, though. I do appreciate y'all being here, and I definitely appreciate the message from Jimmy Kudo. I think we can agree with the heart of it. As far as there's enough negativity going on. Let's keep it positive here as much as we can. Rio Sosen Truesdale in the house. Choose, Parker. Choose, Parker. Choose. Saw Willem Dafoe 2023 title pop up on the streaming services that I don't really have time to watch these days, and I always go into that Willem Dafoe. Choose, Parker. Spider-Man. Speaking of ghosts, the Enforcer number 2 in the house. Timestamps always look fresh and pro. Appreciate you. All right, guys, we're gonna get into it. Sorry, I thought of something funny, but it's gonna be classic Dan Tom, weird, crazy, hypothetical territory, which is also shout out to my guy Goes. There from colleague MMA Junkie, also his territory. So we're not going to go down that road. I want to stay on target. Before we get to Bellator 300, I do want to pay off iTunes ratings and reviews, 5-star ratings and reviews. I want to get some more fresh ones in there, and I'll go ahead and read off. So if yours hasn't been read yet, I will get to it. And to encourage yours being read to help the show for free, you can always do that. Go to Protect Your Neck Podcast on iTunes. And again, smash the like button here. Appreciate that. Subscriptions, especially with the chaos that is the artist formerly known as Twitter on what's going on there. Let's build up these other ones, shall we? So all the follows and all that stuff is appreciated. MixedMartialAnalyst.com, of course, supports this here program. If you go to MixedMartialAnalyst.com and you toggle to the right, there are click-through banners for Amazon or on it. If you shop through any of those, all you do is go to MixedMartialAnalyst.com, click through the banners. That's just 2 extra steps. That's all it is. And you are at the site that you normally, I presume, shop at. And you go get your normal stuff. And for no extra cost, not even an extra penny, whatever you do decide to purchase, a percentage of that purchase will be kicked back to this here program. And it greatly helps. Of course, the show is completely out of pocket. I go in the hole doing it despite the generous donations that have come in and continue to come in. Recently got one from a longtime listener of the show through the PayPal donation. Again, it's a free program, and of course, it goes out of pocket from me. But if you want to donate directly through a secure link, PayPal, which I think we all should at least trust that one. I have a secure PayPal link. Of course, it is in my link trees for at Dan Tom MMA to follow me. But of course, it is also on MixedMartialAnalyst.com, the homepage. You might have to scroll down or maybe even toggle to the right if you're on the mobile. But you can get there. You can find it. You'll see the PayPal donate link. Someone recently hit that up, and I was like, do you need me to place a bet for you at the counter? What is this? So appreciate you guys there. Mark Fellows in the house. Greetings from the land of the smiles, Thailand. I saw that post, my friend. The show will have a happy ending today. You son of a... Enjoy yourself, but not too much, Mark. Always appreciate you, sir. You're in Thailand. What are you doing on this show, on this live chat, you son of a gun? Go eat some good food for me as usual, sir. And oh man, yeah. I still in the week off, I was supposed to make some calls for that and reach out to the people. I didn't. I've been so busy this week. I haven't even had time to pay myself. Like, I've been able to invoice since Monday, and I still haven't done. I know nobody cares. I'm gonna move on, but that's how busy I am. My financial, mental, physical health has been put on hold just to get things done. Another crazy week, but it's a 3-event week, and I'm trying to get everything done by tomorrow because I'm actually going to go to that Sphere, which is crazy. I'm going to go to a show from there. Going to go to a Darren Aronofsky play, so I'm really stoked about that. Gonna may or may not have some PEDs to enhance the experience. Gonna be a fun time, we'll just say the least. I'll give you guys a full report on that. That's also part of the reason, part and parcel, why I'm stressing a bit. So we'll get through this as fast and as painless as we can. But I appreciate the hell out of you guys. That's how you support the show. By the way, the Onnit click-throughs doesn't list anything, but the Amazon click-throughs will list what you buy. It doesn't list your name, though. So don't worry. I don't get any of your personal or financial information. I don't even see who buys it. So if you want to, have your, speaking of Thailand, Mark Fellows, for example, this isn't his style to party, but I'm saying if it's your style to party, you want to, have the David Carradine experience, the Joe Rogan experience, well, the David Carradine experience, huh? Somewhere in Bangkok there was a 9-year-old boy that knows what happened in that room. Of course, he's older than that now. But yeah, as I beat this joke to death, you can buy whatever you want. You can buy the kimonos, the vibrating nunchucks, whatever you need to get your rocks off. I won't know it's you, but you can do it and support this here program. I'm gonna read off. Somebody got. It's a good year, 1985. They made it in 4K. Wow. I've been in the habit of collecting 4Ks myself lately, so I don't blame you. Clue there. I don't know if this is the same person, but they also bought, this one wasn't cheap, 4K, Mandalorian Season 1 4K HD. Thank you for clicking through MixedMartialAnalyst.com for that. Big purchase, PlayStation 5 console. Wow, I appreciate that. That obviously is a high-ticket item that that definitely kicks back a percentage of your sale there. So enjoy the PS5. Hopefully you got some cool games. As I say, that Mortal Kombat 1 Premium Edition, whoever bought the PlayStation is not messing around. They also got DualSense wireless controller, Midnight Black. Speaking of vibrators and childish jokes, some of these descriptions sound, there wasn't PlayStation attached. Like the way they word their controllers, I would, be like, wow, that's what they're calling it these days. I'm going to write that down. Notes GIF. Someone bought Flamma FVO vocal effects processor pitch correction. That pedal, that's a serious little instrument that wasn't cheap either. I appreciate you very much, whoever bought that. Somebody else got, I'm going to guess the JFK and the Clue is the same person. Someone got JFK in 4K. And lastly, but not leastly, Batman 4K. Okay, very cool. Batman. Someone is going back toward the mid 80s and beyond there, mid to late 80s there. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for clicking through the mobile. It's right, Synchro Wing. It is Bane. Yeah, you just have to imagine the fire. Sorry. Penis rises. Wait, the Bane didn't say that. Damn, what version of Dark Knight did you watch? Jin Karasu in the house. I'm a David Carradine experience kind of dude. Fluffy handcuffs. Hey man, I'm sure they sell those on Amazon. So I appreciate not going to judge, and whether it's through David Carradine experiences or just like martial arts ones. I have someone tugging on my knee, so I've been in pain all week, and boy was it a good time that I decided to order up with my guy D Love, of course, the turmerictonic.com. I'm giving it a shake to the cameras. I'm going to actually, as I usually do, when I have it in stock, have some here on the program to help the anti-inflammation. Nerve issues slightly improving, but I haven't been doing my massages enough, the self ones and stuff and whatnot. Although I had some of that cup stuff done for the first time, like it was crazy. I remember seeing it for the first time in China, at the Shaolin Temple, at the place we were staying. This was like before it caught on out here, and I'm not a big proponent or trying to open up that conversation. It was whatever for the physical massage primary, or even some electrotherapy stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It got itchy. If anybody does those, who doesn't love the 80s? 80s is awesome, my friend James Kendrick. 80s is awesome. Rios and Truesdale, get me back on track. Turmeric tonic, I can drink that. Can I get that through the click-through? I don't think you can get it through the click-through. You got to go to theturmerictonic.com and make sure you use the code PROTECT15 for 15% off. But I do incorporate the click-through. I don't know if it's my YouTube link. I'm pretty sure it's the YouTube link. If not, it is. Let me click over here. I might be able to see right quickly. If it's not on the YouTube link, it's on the iTunes link in the show notes. And yeah, maybe it's not on the YouTube link. I think it's on the iTunes link if you subscribe to the show. But yeah, it's real easy to remember. It's theturmerictonic.com, and turmeric, of course, TURMERIC. Use code PROTECT15. We got turmeric, ginger, some fresh lemon juice in here too, which really does help ease it when you're drinking it a little more in its pure form. But that's how you get the good stuff, baby. It ain't easy. The Amazon click-through. I want to support the show too. Yeah, that you can find at mixedmartialanalyst.com. Again, toggle down, scroll down / maybe toggle slightly to the right. It should be just an easy scroll down to see on the homepage there with no extra clicks once you go to mixedmartialanalyst.com. That supports this here show. It's much appreciated. And again, I will read off anything that Burgundy will read what goes on the prompter, folks. So I just wanted to give you guys a shout for that. On time, let's go 13:22. That's longer than I thought. Let's go to Bellator 300. We were supposed to have 4 title fights, and of course, I've gotten away clean at this a lot lately, to be honest. So I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to go don't get the break here and pull that card. But yeah, it definitely burned me this week. Excuse me. Sorry for that. Definitely burned me this week because I started with the vacillation. You know me, Litton Vassal. The too much vacillation, even at heavyweight, just too much, just a burst. Easy, Dan, easy. Speaking of which, I might try to take a Jailman fight week off. You guys don't need to hear me with my fucking dick in my hand going on about the Jailman, do you? I mean, look at that Vassal ain't even fighting and I'm fucking losing it over here. Jesus, Dan, easy. No, obviously, I've been a big fan of Vassal because he's been cashing as an underdog for me lately. For those following along at home, and he was the one underdog that I was looking to play at Bellator. I was thinking about playing Kai Kamaka if I could have found him close to his opener at 135, and there was a 150, which was still playable chalk, in my opinion, in my usual range, as you guys know, but that left the door real fast, and to be honest, even at that point of the week, I'm already too invested in some plays all across the board. As frantic as I am, don't worry, I got some plays coming your way. We've got a heavy slate. We're going to see if we can get some gabagool. And you don't even know what that means. It's racist. It's anti-Italian discrimination. We're going to try to cash some some checks, and we'll see if some fighters can avoid getting their necks cranked. We'll see. Or they can do the cranking in some cases. Dan, get off the cranking. I know we're talking about David Carradine here. But yeah, that left the field. But yeah, Kai Kamaka's now, he's more parlay piece material, up 2-1. So that brings us to, we'll do the one that's not out yet that I just submitted, the final breakdown. That'll be out on Junkie. 2 of the 3 are out. But, of course, Liz Carmouche versus Ali-Malay McFarlane. Got odds up here. Plus 205 McFarlane, Liz Carmouche, minus 270. I'm almost surprised it hasn't gone more just because McFarlane kind of seems like she's got one foot out the door. And I'm a big Ali-Malay McFarlane fan, especially for what she's done outside of the cage. I almost said outside of the octagon. Outside of the cage for Hawaiians' rights, women's rights. Speaking out about things like sex abuse at schools that I've had family members go to. She's just go Alima. So definitely rooting for her, but as trying to be an unbiased analyst, obviously Carmouche the more experienced, more well-rounded, more dangerous striker, more power in all senses, from strength to punch power, pop power. And just, the overall more impactful fighter for what the judges are looking for, right? So even if Carmouche makes some bad decisions and gives some takedowns with the Deanna Bennett fight, which is probably why it won't and shouldn't really get too much wider than the line already is, we've seen she can bail herself out with submissions. I don't know if she'd be able to do that against Ali-Malay McFarlane, who hasn't been stopped. And it'd probably be more of a strike stoppage, right? And even then, unless it's like a one-shot kind of Watanabe deal, does she want to, even Carmouche, as cold as she is, I know she comes out to that, that's me, it feels like I'm going to watch some really weird snuff film when she's walking out. It's kind of creepy, not going to lie, nothing to do with her looking like the Uriah Faber thing. Carmouche is so she's an absolute pro, very much a fighter I respect too, for what it's worth. I'm just making jokes here, folks. But no, she, sorry, where was I going with that? Does she, as professional she is, though, as scary and as business as she comes out, my point is that when you have 2 training partners, what I'm getting at, you don't know how it is. And then to add on that weirdness of former training partners, and I'm not just talking about, my anecdotal experience, which who gives a fuck. Let's talk about high-level guys, even from, John Jones to Evans, right? It almost seemed like John Jones was playing with them. I'm sure he was favored to get a finish that night. I don't know what the odds were for whatever it was. Was it UFC 144 off the top of my head? But you get weird fights sometimes, right? Maybe that's not the weirdest one, but that's still, there's still an argument to be made there as far as what your expectations for something like that is. Sorry if you hear my dog eating in the background here. I'm just glad that he's eating. He was kind of not doing well earlier. Old Benjamin's got a surgery scheduled for November, so we're going to wish him the best for that and get some tumor removal. But yeah, this fight could be really weird. It's probably going to go to decision, and there's not enough juice, the plus 105s to plus 110s or whatever. Maybe those prices are even gone for Carmouche by decision. Nah, stay away from this fight. I'm going to pick Carmouche, though, by decision. Next fight, another female title fight. We've got the featherweights, Chris Cyborg plus 550 or minus 550. Jesus, plus 550, minus 550. Kat Zingano plus 390 with a comeback on Kat. You guys know I'm a big Kat Zingano fan. But you could argue they're showing, even with this wide of a spread, they're showing Kat some respect here, considering the typical Ronda Rousey-like odds we typically see in WMMA, especially with Cyborg fights, right? But Cyborg, say what you will about the Amanda Nunes fight, it was really unfortunate. She kind of faltered there. You can argue that some other fighters, maybe she's had brief flashes. I believe in one of the Blanco fights. I believe one part of the second fight. But she's really fought smarter, not just on the stand-up, but her clinch and her ground game has always been underrated. Her wrestling and her clinch fighting, both striking and wrestling in the clinch. Wrestling overall, defensively, offensively, open, mat wrestling, so on and so forth, which allows her to have really devastating ground and pound. But maybe it's the Cobrinha influence. She's been working a lot on her jiu-jitsu, really being much more positional there. Now, does that mean she's going to do that carry that trend against someone like Kat Zingano, who thrives off mat wrestling, hitting reversals. Maybe she's much more disciplined and stands out. Maybe that in turn limits her ground and pound, right? But Kat is also so relentless that at the very least they're going to end up fighting in the clinch and having back and forth exchanges. Now, the worry here, because I played the over 2.5 rounds at plus 125, 1.5 units, because I just think this is going over. I think Kat is underrated for people trying to make an argument for her. You know, she is older, but she's been through a lot. She's kind of had to get through and changing her, adjusting her body. I think she's done that. Her style really hasn't changed too much. She's really got that sloppy kind of southpaw scrap. She'll, kind of go from head kick and shoot low. I think Cyborg's going to be able to sprawl on those and shut those down. But her durability is really good on the feet. She just had that toe to the eye stoppage and the weird Ronda Rousey round 1 stoppage. Outside of those moments, she's either finished or goes the distance. So I think between Cyborg, between the game catching up, between her fighting smarter, people getting better, a confluence of all those things, she's not getting people out of there as fast either. Even air quotes outmatch people, unless it's maybe the Sinead Kavanaughs of the world, right? Like if you look at it dating back to Ibragimova or whatever from Invicta and shit, her fights even have kind of been quietly going longer. So I actually think the over 2.5 rounds has value at plus money. I hit it at 1.5 units, and then I did the typical, me, any excuse to sprinkle rounds 3, 4, and 5, whether it's a fighter I'm picking or not, which we'll maybe talk about in the UFC breakdown. Rounds 3, 4, and 5 usually have value. They kind of know what they're doing here. So it's, Cyborg plus 550 round 3, Cyborg round 4 plus 700, Cyborg round 5 plus 1200. Perhaps you can find better lines out there. It's kind of hard to find Bellator round props in general. But of course I did the 0.17 U on all of those. For some added bonus in case, she does get the finish, whether it be by submission or forces a stoppage by strikes, because it's really going to have to be a traditional or attritional if she gets a stoppage in either form on someone as tough as Kat, even at this point of Kat's career, right? She's 41 years old. Cyborg, my age, she's a 1985er as well. Speaking of 1985 strong, Cyborg, 38 years old. So, due to fall off, but she's obviously also an outlier, right? So it is tough to say there. So I'm actually going to go with over. Obviously, that's more Kat's victory too. Is that it's going to have to go over unless she catches a armbar. She's got a wicked armbar from her back, although she caught it against. Again, no offense to these ladies, much lower level competition in Bellator. So you got to weigh that, and even then she kind of went to decision most of the time. So yeah, I got the over there. Going the opposite end, Usman Nurmagomedov, of course, lightweight champion. He is ringing in at minus 1300. Of course, undefeated / plus Nurmagomedov's your last name. It doesn't matter, what you do or look like. You're gonna get those odds probably. Not just kidding, but it's very deserved. Of course, he's facing former Bellator champion Brett Primus, or as Michael Chandler likes to say, Bent Penis, which I think is very mean. That's what the kids say. Just not what I say, but I'm throwing it out there. Plus 700, plus 790, I should say. He's cashed at plus 550 odds in the aforementioned Mike Chandler first fight. But yeah, this would be the biggest odds that Brent Primus would cash at if he were to win. All of his finishes are in the first round. Other than that, his fights tend to go to decision because he is usually pretty durable himself. But he's actually been rocked. He got rocked in the Chandler fight. He got rocked in a couple fights, actually. Not just the one where he got stopped against Shabley. And what I noticed, especially in the Shabley fight, he swings wide and can kind of square himself. So that opens him up for counters coming in. And Usman Nurmagomedov has that excellent proprioception. He could put the left hooks on him and the counter rights, like Shabley did. But I actually think it's the body work. Usman Nurmagomedov, more than a lot of fighters, go to the body quietly. He'll break that guys down to the legs as well. He's actually got a lot of Muay Thai swagger. I said this before. He almost has some Sidichai moves when he goes to southpaw, because Usman Nurmagomedov can also fight from both stances. Very talented. You're going to hear and I quoted, I may admit that meme because I just, and I love my guy Fitzy, Brendan Fitzgerald there, but he was like, oh, the rare Dagestani who strikes. And it's like, motherfuckers, Wushu Sanda is one of the main martial arts, especially depending on what region of the Caucasus they're from, like for example Makhachkala, it's actually not going to be a surprise. There's actually some really strong fucking Wushu Sanda presence. That's where the guys like Sabit come from and whatnot. And so I did the classic, the baby getting held above the water by the mom, and it's Dagestani, praising Dagestani wrestling, and the other baby trying to tread water is Sambo, and then down on the fucking coffin is Wushu Sanda. Because the way it gets talked about, and I'm sure you'll hear, depending on who's on commentary, you'll probably hear similar things again for Usman Nurmagomedov, who's not even Wushu Sanda, even though he has that Wushu Sanda flair to his kicks. Usman Nurmagomedov, again, back to the Muay Thai references, he looks like he really loves and came up watching Muay Thai. I think he's even had some amateur bouts. When I went deep on his IG, you can see some stuff, like when he was a young teenager coming up, with the Muay Thai gloves and everything. But yeah, he's really good from both stances, works the body really well. Speaking of Sanda fighters, he has a nice spin side kick. Not that, you won't see a person do that in Muay Thai or anything, but it's obviously a very Sanda, more traditional martial arts move. And Nurmagomedov's got that very well as well. And with the way Brent Primus, as big as he is, he's a big guy, cuts a decent amount of weight, really thick. Older guy for the weight class as well. I believe, I want to say he is 1985 as well, or something like that, or close to it. I think those shots to the body is what's going to do him. I went under 1.5 rounds. I know it's a slim margin. Unders under 1.5, something I usually don't like to do. Totals have been a little kinder. Same with parlay. I mean, it's just a weird year, so everything opposite essentially has been kinder, or really unkind, depending on the perspective and what the result is. But yeah, we're going to go Total City. We're going to go under 1.5 units plus 120. Another 1.5 units there. 1.5 rounds, 1.5 units under plus 120. I was trying to get cute and mix of Usman round 1 and round 2, because I think he's getting it done in round 1 or round 2. And I couldn't figure out how to do it. Do I do Usman round 2 and the under in case it's toward the end of round 2 and we missed the under? How much do I... And either way, I was having to put at least 1.5 units, if not 2 units or more, with some of the... Because you're essentially priced out of an undefeated Nurmagomedov fighter. And so at a certain point, I'm like, let's just run and gun this one. If we're going to hit it, if we're going to bet Bellator, if we're going to bet this fight at these prices, you know what? The best argument is that they're giving plus money on the under. That's the only pathway to victory for not just Primus's finishes, but again, even more, I imagine, higher odds for Primus to get a decision here. So I'm going to go, and then you got, just the finishing pathways and potentials. Usman Nurmagomedov could also snatch up a front choke in a Primus never been submitted, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. But if he's hurt and he's shooting, we've seen the front choke acumen on Usman Nurmagomedov as well. So you could also get burned trying to, play submission or TKO and having to choose, Parker. So let's just go with the under plus 120. All right, that is the Bellator breakdown. Sorry for the speed talk there. All right, 28, 30. We'll go or end there. Let's see. I'm gonna catch you guys up on the chat real quick, and then we'll go. Ghost, I was looking forward to Linton Vacillation. He said Vassal. I added that part. He said, Ghost said, I was looking forward to Linton Vassal winning the belt at Bellator season finale. That would have been very apropos for Bellator, would it not? The Vacillation just fucking exploding his way onto the scene. Dan, come on now. James Kendrick, McFarlane did an interview with Drake Riggs saying that she cannot kick due to hip issues. Do you consider that in your analysis? Actually, yeah, I noticed she hasn't been kicking. And a few fights ago, because I went back to watch her fights, and she had a knee injury and a surgery. Even since then, it's actually been something suspect that I've had in my analysis notes. But yeah, excellent interview with Drake Riggs as well. Shout out to my guy Drake Riggs. Go follow his stuff. Yeah, that actually makes absolute sense with what you've been seeing. And she's gotten better at boxing, rolling under her crosses. Much more better fundamental boxing, but that's also probably for a reason, the aforementioned reason. So yeah. She's even posting on her IG, I can't wait to get this over with. She's just saying that herself. So, believe me, I'm not trying to throw that typical paintbrush, stereotypical shade of, oh, they got a foot out the door. I love Alimale, okay? She's saying it herself, you know what I'm saying? So, it's and I've gotten that vibes being around her for what it's worth. Those Bellator Hawaii shows, as awesome as they were, there's a lot of pressure on her, man, And she's already taken up a lot of rightful causes, and having that fight pressure is just, it's a lot. Synchro Wing, Cyborg versus Ngannou. It is always 2010 at Bellator. This fight seems like a time capsule. Does it not, my friend? Does it not? All right, let's jump over. 30 minutes in. We're over to UFC Vegas, a UFC Fight Night 229. UFC Fight Night. Dawson versus King. Dawson versus Green. You guys see me retweet Grant Dawson's reply to him laughing at him laughing his ass off at my tweet where I said Grant Dawson looks like the character in every coming of age movie who tells the protagonist that they're not good enough to be there. Like, he totally looks like that team captain of the opposing team. Like, you can't be on this team. You're not good enough to be here. Boy does he not have all those vibes, but he is the commanding favorite here. Of course, Grant Dawson minus 400. Bobby King Green, plus 300 on the comeback. What did Dawson open as here? Minus 355. Money came his way. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'll be honest here. I kind of had to go backwards and forwards and all over this week, just because the way this week went. So I was doing the main event tape. I was watching Bobby Green versus Tony Ferguson as we were here. And I didn't quite finish watching that, but I think I've seen enough to see where I'm going to go. And this says all over, I am Bobby Green defender. He's one of my favorite fighters. I didn't pick him against Makhachev. Obviously, that was shorter notice. And I do believe in his defense, whether you're picking him or not here, you still should expect a much better Bobby Green from that fight. Not just because Grant Dawson, I'm sorry, is not Islam Makhachev, which should be obvious. But also because that fight was on like 6 days' notice, literally. Even for Bobby Green, who loves staying active, that's a little ridiculous. He didn't have any prep for that. So I do expect a better Bobby Green, but ultimately, this feels like the classic trap, the Bryce Mitchell, Dan Ige that we just saw. Although Green, less knockout power than Ige, more active than Ige, still very similar dynamic. Likes to counter, will work the body, not a judging friendly style, even in a stand-up fight, much less a fight with a heavy grappling pressure on one direction that takes place in the small octagon of the apex. I call myself when I go against it, and I usually have good reason for going against it. And I was arguably still right going against it with that Dan Ige fight. But the results are what ultimately matter. And if you look back at that card, that one failed whilst, granted it was super fluky, which is all the way Gamrot's fights are, picking the grappler in the smaller cage, by hook or by crook, paid off, right? So, arguments both ways there. Different ones, albeit. But, that is something that I usually stay with, and I'll probably stay with that here as far as my official pick goes. But I believe you're priced out. Even if the opener and there wasn't any inflation on the Dawson line, I would still feel like this is inflated prices, I know he just, dominated... Oh, a Russian, even though I believe he's Russian, not Dagestani, not that it matters where the fuck you're from, folks. It's what your style is. It's what your genetics, what's your capabilities, your prerogatives, your habits. These things are what dictate, not what flag is next to your name and the topology profile, folks. And if you are going to go by that, at least get it right. Yeah, man, Ismagulov was one of those fighters that you think, especially because I'm one of those nerdy analysts who's not just a nerdy analyst, but also is a hipster and likes making... look at me, I make arguments for guys like Bobby Green, for Christ's sakes, right? Like, I'm that guy who make the argument for the weird guy as well, like Ismagulov. But no, I was against that crowd. I never got it. He got lucky. That fight should have, especially with the miscalled foul, that wasn't a foul. Even with that taken away, the much more damaging fighter was Guram Kutateladze in that fight. Kutateladze should have got that victory. And yeah, I admittedly didn't do heavy tape. Again, I've been all over the place, so I'm going to be honest with you guys about that. Did not go back to watch the Sarukian fight, but I went back to obviously watch the whole Dawson fight and whatnot. And again, just my opinions even from before, like, he's not a super impressive guy. He hasn't had to really face these guys, which is why, even though I think it was technically 7 out of 21, which you got to take these numbers with a grain of salt, I'm not going to lean too heavily because I didn't even go back to recently refresh it. I'm going off of older notes. But I notice oftentimes, with when you're breaking these fights down, or perhaps if you're listening to other people who break these fights down, it's real easy. And I get it. I'm burn out. I'm not criticizing people who are trying to throw shade when I say this, folks. I fucking get it. I'm just saying I think we all have the habit of naturally wanting to lean too much into these stats because it's much easier to look at these numbers than to go watch the context around these numbers. And like I always say, first and foremost, the numbers are wrong because they're untrustworthy because they are being pulled from a faulty well of information, right? Like you're not getting the right counts, whether it's these takedowns, control times being flipped, strikes, leg checks, etc. But on top of that, let's just say they are accurate as shit. You still got to be careful because unless you remember the fight frame for frame, I don't know whose memory is that good with Dunbar's number getting challenged constantly with his relentless UFC schedule. Numbers don't have context to them, right? Just like the losers are always in my mentions, like showing the betting record, like whatever it is, like 33 and like 100 and whatever. Like whatever like disproportionate win-loss record is on my bets, that doesn't have context to it. I should if that number is as bad as it looks, my record should be way worse. But it's not. I'm still within striking distance to get a win, and if I don't, it's fine, man. I'm still gonna post it. It'll give the haters something to hate. It'll give them something to do at least because it doesn't matter if I win or not. Those motherfuckers aren't gonna care. The gambling community is not gonna care. I'm still not going to get nominated as an analyst. Like, it doesn't affect me or my job in any form. I'm just going to keep coming clean and being transparent and honest because that's what I do. I do it for free, unlike a lot of these fuckers. But yeah, it doesn't, it doesn't matter without context. So I would be careful about that. And yeah, I was never really impressed with Ismagulov. He kind of ended up being who I kind of thought. And you can be wrong on your picks and your plays, and even though picks and plays are different things, sometimes, again, what's the third thing? Analysis. And sometimes analysis is right. Some old school MMA gambling / MMA analysis listeners appreciated the Sean Carey tattoo, rat shed and Calcutta reference, and I believe that was the same MMA gambler who would say this thing, like, he would commit, like, even if you're wrong and you're constantly getting burned, commit to your read. And that can sound like both a losing strategy and stubborn mentality. But there also is something to that. Sometimes you are proven right. Like, no, I was right about this guy, right? Like, I got burned and, like, or whatever about, like, Bryce Mitchell. But, like, you put him against a guy like Ilya Topuria and you're only going to hang, again, playable chalk range, minus 150 to minus 155 for a guy like Topuria. I went on that. Was not as confident with my guy Ige, but you're also getting underdog odds, right? With Ige there, but it's like you got to stick to your read. Sometimes you do get proven right. Like, no, this person was who I thought they were, right? And that could definitely, that was definitely, I feel like, was the case with Ismagulov, and that could be the case with Dawson. Now, you got to separate it. I'm not alone as far as being analysts who don't really like Grant Dawson's style. I feel like casuals to hipster analysts, could do that, what do you call Predator, Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger clasping hands meme, like casual drunk guys in MMA audience, hipster well-to-do glasses-wearing analysts, and then where the hands come together, it's just like it's like hating boring grapplers who just back camp out on the back, like there could be a meme like that. And it's not even that I hate backpackers or anything, but yeah, it's just like it's not a very pleasing style. Now, what I will say, the reason why I'm probably going to end up picking Grant Dawson, even though I feel like it's all day dog or pass. I'll get into the ways that I think it'd be cool to play Grant Dawson as far as that goes. Actually, I'll pull some up right now, so that is ready. But yeah, in his defense, and part of the reason why I probably ended up picking him is he is at that age where he should be showing fight-to-fight improvements. He's still in his 20s, I believe, right? He just switched to American Top Team, and I believe even though he had at least a camp experience, one camp before experience with the Gerald Gordon one. I don't know if it's because he was still in transition. They said that his Ismagulov fight, he's 29, so he's still right at that cusp, just turned 29 this year. That Ismagulov fight, I guess, was his first full camp, or maybe it was the Marco Madsen. But the point is, in those fights, now the Marco Madsen Madsen was looking to kind of, you could tell the fight was done almost at the end of the first round, and he was arguably, kind of looked just beat by the second. And when you've got a guy going downhill like that, it's hard to know where your cardio's at, right? Like I was on a fucking island picking Ricky Glenn to beat him, and I felt validated even though it was a draw. He's saved by the bell, right? Saved by the bell. Literally, almost had him like out at the end, pointing, doing the BJ Penn, Sean Shirk thing, pointing, almost trying to call off his own fight. Real vet shit from Ricky Glenn. I was on a fucking island, and again, got away from me on that one, but I was like, no, it's there. And Jared Gordon, I'm like, I'm gonna trust Jared Gordon again, but how Jared Gordon is, whether it's my guy, I ran into a marauding crackhead and he bit off half my finger before the fight. It's always some crazy thing like before, and then he's like susceptible to, even in fights he's doing good at, and then all of a sudden like fucking losing, right? Like via injury, getting rocked, or getting your back taken and randomly choked, in a fight where Grant Dawson looked like he was gassing again, right? And then in the Madsen third round, even despite being in just like full charge for the whole fight after that first 30 seconds where he got dropped, which was a disturbing point, right? That he got dropped by Madsen. He's almost looking tired there again, but Madsen looks like he's ready to break, and then he both is rocked in the face and looks like he could get a leg kick TKO in the first 30 seconds of round 3. So obviously you see Dawson not just push through, but he gets that adrenaline spike, like, oh, there's a finish here. And then he just, as DC says, big dogs him to the finish. Now, the Ismagulov fight, we actually see improvements, both in his cardio, even though he's controlling the guy the whole way, even though Ismagulov not as good as I thought, yada, yada. Still, we got to give credit where credit's due. He looks improved all throughout the third round. And I did watch tape on these fights, by the way. It was the Bobby Green spot checking that I just needed to check. And I'm very familiar with his grappling. I just needed to see how he was still doing things, which we'll get to, as far as that Tony Ferguson fight when he sees a takedown. Or when someone's in on a takedown as well. The Ismagulov fight, he shows an improvement there. Physically, he's in the best shape he ever looks like. Even when he was like killing himself, getting down to 145, he didn't look this cut, but he also didn't look drawn out. He looked like, like buff and jacked, right? And what I noticed, he showed flashes in the Madsen fight. Perhaps maybe he's shown it before, just never, it was maybe more that James Krause, the step knee kind of tie march thing, But he actually just goes legit like from southpaw and is almost trying to steal some Dustin Poirier moves where he's got the kicks, he's got the punches from the left side, all the power shots from southpaw, but he'll use that to either step through into his shot from orthodox where he typically fights from, or use it to set up a right hand. Now he also had the checking right hand, which could be come in handy. Bobby Green can still be hit with checking shots as we've seen, as well as left hands, or hooks, well placed hooks. I believe even Gordon was able to get some looks there before the finish, came from the headbutt or whatever, and then Bobby Green ground and pound him. Which, by the way, Bobby Green underrated ground and pound. So you see Damir Ismagulov again, not urgent enough in any phase of the scramble. But once you get past a certain layer, especially. But even he was able to, it was too little too late, but he turned into Grant Dawson's guard. It would have been really interesting there. Grant Dawson, for all his improvements, for as good as he is getting to the back and scrambling and all those things, still not sure how good he is from top, especially if you find yourself on top in round 3 when he's a bit tired, like we saw in the Rick Glenn fight. So that could be something worth watching out for, too. Bobby Green's obviously going to have to survive back, perhaps whole rounds with his back taken, at least 2, if he, optimistically, if he wants to survive. Although in a 5-round fight, it's not crazy to think at all that Grant Dawson just needs to get 3 and survive. However that's spaced out, whether it's, recoup round, back take round, recoup round, back take round, And Bobby Green, not traditionally a one-punch guy, even though some underrated power. It does look like he's been sitting down more, really trying to hurt guys more. He's also been throwing much more knees and kicks, which, again, Grant Dawson, shooting from outside as he does, he likes to shoot low. We could see an Algeo-Hernandez type sort of deal, at the very least, maybe rock him. Those things, you don't have to have knockout power. It's just one of those things. It's just like Drew Fickett, Josh Koscheck. Those create often the worst knockouts, right? So we could even see a Bobby Green stoppage from that aspect, right? And obviously the early stoppages are on the ground are more likely for Grant Dawson. Not so much ground and pound like a Makhachev, but obviously submissions. He does have some crafty things that he likes to go for RNCs, but guys are getting so much better at that. Even Makhachev was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to pound him out. Of course, it's Islam Makhachev there. There is that. I know Grant Dawson said he called and said he's going to be Makhachev's replacement, which is a very tall order. He's going to have to get past Bobby Green first. I don't disagree with Grant Dawson being favored. I may even end up picking him here, you know what I'm saying? But from an odds perspective, I feel like it's Bobby Green all day. My heart's going to be with Bobby Green. Grant Dawson by submission, would maybe be something I would throw in a round robin, even though it's not much, plus 125, if I was both picking Grant Dawson and really behind him. But even if I pick him, I don't think I'll be really behind him because of the things that I kind of outlined. Bobby Green can actually wrestle. Shouts to my guy Feño. Was sharing some clips as well as sharing my own clips, so I appreciate all those shares, guys. But, we were sharing out the reminders that Bobby Green can wrestle. The unfortunate part, though, is that Bobby Green, he's really good single leg defense, really good scrambling. It's body lock / shuck buys. Seem like they could be a problem with the way he likes to tripod turtle and give back exposure, right? Kind of allows for that back exposure. Even standing positions, kind of like a la Corey Sandhagen, what I called for with the TJ Dillashaw fight. Say what you will about the scoring. It was just kind of a position that you don't like. Dillashaw was too injured to take advantage of it, though Dillashaw does have underrated back taking, which is actually why I initially picked him to beat Sandhagen. Of course, we know all about Grant Dawson's back taking. So the thing about a Bobby Green thing is unless he catches him early or something, I think he's going to have to not just survive, but really make him work for those 2 rounds to not turn it around in round 3, because Grant Dawson, maybe he has improved his cardio. He seems to have his chip on his shoulder about that. He says he's only gassed in 1 fight. Again, we've seen signs in a few, the ones that I went over, that are actually all 3 of his last 4, you could argue. He's shown signs of it. But even if he does, I don't know about rounds 4 and 5. I like Bobby Green better there. Again, not enough meat on the bone, even at plus money, plus 125 for Grant Dawson by submission. And even though I'm sitting here still kind of, being jury out about his cardio, I actually feel like if I do pick him, it's probably going to be by a decision. But it could be a split decision because I think his optics are going to be so bad on the feet when he does start tiring, and Bobby's going to be able to put numbers if he does start surviving, or in those recoup rounds in between. Bobby's going to be able to take a couple rounds here or there. That I think that especially even though it feels like they're almost like going back the other way, it's like they knew they overcorrected the steering wheel, which you're finally hearing other people who speak criteria talk say. Something that your boy here has been saying for a couple years now, for what it's worth, being proved right about yet again. It does feel like they're trying to almost not overcorrect, but you could argue overcorrect because it feels like this, right? It feels like this left to right with what they're liking. Even within the same judges, you know what I'm saying? So maybe we just get another one of those classic ones where, they're trying to decide between impact and damage, which, should be on greens. Grant Dawson doesn't look like his skin really shows damage. That's racist, Dan. You're being racist. I'm sorry. I'm just saying, he could get pretty marked up, if this fight goes long. What I'm leaning at here is Grant Dawson by split decision plus 1,000. I think that's worth a shot, whether you like Grant Dawson or not, whether you're picking Grant Dawson or not. I'm going to see how my night goes. I'm actually not playing anything heavy on this fight, so for once, my night will not be determined by the main event. It may not even be determined by a co-main, but of course I have a play on that, which we'll get to here in a second. So what I'm going to do is, depending on how Bellator goes, which may finish actually later than this card, so who knows there too, right? We'll see, but let's just say, there is a big hefty play on the fight that opens the main card. If that goes well, yeah, I'm probably definitely going to sprinkle on this fight for funsies by the end of the night, and I'll probably do a little bit on Grant Dawson by split decision if I can get it anywhere near plus 1,000. And then for Bobby Green, either do Bobby Green just by decision straight up, because that should be close to 1,000 too, or you do Bobby Green, 0.17 use sprinkles rounds 3, 4, and 5 for funsies, and you have the Grant Dawson to catch it by still maybe getting a split decision or something like that if you got a house that is available. But yeah, no official plays as of yet. Maybe I still end up picking Grant Dawson, but I throw Bobby Green in a round robin, right? Depending on what my round robins are allowing me to do. Maybe I do have enough time on Saturday morning to stop by the book. I'm not too fucked up from the night before. And at the house I like to play at, they don't have greatest round robins, granted, although I fixed that with my online and my official, which I'll tweet out, as well as give you guys what I'm leaning toward here, as I usually do. But yeah, that one house, if I like to get cheeky and stuff, they only let me do like round robin money lines, which means you got to pretty much pick dogs. So yeah, like like guys like Bobby Green, spoiler alert, Ricky Glenn, even though I may not pick these fighters, they would probably be on that round robin, right? Because, spoiler alert, I believe they are dog or pass type of fights. So that is that main event. Bicho Pyfer in the co-main event, minus 500. Abdul-Razak Alhassan, plus 360. Yeah, I hate betting Alhassan fights, man. It's just, like, ridiculous. He's like, he either finishes in round 1 or it's a bust, and he gets his first round 2 stoppage. I'm like, what is this fight? It's asking you for dog or pass from a money line perspective, and I still believe that. However, not enough to play Alhassan. Definitely not enough to pick him. Although he's a very capable man, he could win by knockout, right? Anytime, he's always live, especially at that price tag. Not going to argue that. I will say, Joe Pyfer, I could see him maybe not getting credit for this because of the way he talks, but the way he fights, I think he's much smarter than he's given credit for. He did talk about, studying and like almost like nailing his arsenal. It sounded like almost like the stuff I keep track on when I'm doing tape study. I appreciate a fighter with that kind of mentality. He works his ass off. Comes from an underrated camp, not just the Daniel Gracie, but also Marquez MMA, who, shout out to my guy Eric Nixick, was giving him his due daps. That's definitely a camp to watch out for. He's like this, tight buds with Sean Brady. That's his main training partner. So between that and that camp, that relationship with that camp, you're going to be getting good grappling rounds. He already shows to have a natural knack for wrestling. A real big physical guy who's only like put on size seemingly since his injury. This can be real huge. Whereas, Abdul-Razak Alhassan is doing himself favors by training up in Denver at a good camp with the Elevation fight team at, obviously, Elevation. But he's still carrying around a lot of. I'm not saying junk because look at him, man. Look at me. I'm not. Believe me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I could have that body for the day. But I mean, like junk in the trunk isn't. Well, he does have a badonk. But I'm just saying, like he it can be a point of diminishing returns. You can almost have too much of the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And he's been real hit and miss trading wins and losses at middleweight since he's moved up. If you want to go by that woo-woo analysis, yeah, I guess he's due for a loss there. But no, I think that Pyfer is the better striker coming forward and off the counter. So, and like he points out, he hits really hard too. But I just think he's going to have a grappling advantage here. I think he actually has the reactive shots and open shots, as well as perhaps against the fence, to take Razak Alhassan down. Alhassan has really good get-ups, and he does that judo tripod. So it's really hard to take his back, especially bigger guys. Like we talk about lightweights and stuff, it's going to be danger zone for Bobby Green, which is why I'm tentative and may end up probably picking against Bobby Green. But middleweight and above, you start doing that. That's why Derek Lewis is so savvy. He does the ski slope. He makes his back into a ski slope, a very almost judo-style tripod. He doesn't turtle where he's on his forearms and knees. No, he's on the bottoms of his feet and the bottoms of his hands. So you're still doing the grounded opponent thing. And you just have that big ski slope, real tough angle to kind of back take off it. Bobby Green does it too, but I still worry, not because Grant Dawson can so much take his back from that angle. It's hard for anybody to. But Grant Dawson, as we said, I know I'm jumping back and forth between fights like we saw with like Marco Madsen. Even that level wrestler will hip heist and slam a guy right into that back take, classic back taker takedown, right? Body off the body lock. I don't know if Pyfer is going to do that or anything, but I just like the fact that he's probably going to wrestle and grapple. to tire out Alhassan. Again, Coach Marquez seems like a smart guy. I imagine his coaches are going to be in his ear about it. Joe Pyfer, I know you can only take their interviews for a grain of salt, but it's funny, like, it's like, be Joe Pyfer, and he's getting all special treatment, and he's, like, talking about all the fighters talking shit about him, which is, no surprise there, right? And, but it's funny, man, even in the UFC, the guys they decide to take care of, they create monsters real fast, and I'm not talking about McGregor. You don't even have to be a McGregor size, and I'm not saying Joe Pyfer's a monster, by the way. But what I am saying, and he does deserve more money. He does deserve, by the way, they all do. So I'm not hating on him, by the way. I'm just saying it's funny that he's just like, I'm not complaining about the money I get, but he's already outgrown his Contender Series contract, which again, it's a crappy contract. You could argue the sport has outgrown contracts like that, and they should not be a thing at this level, the highest level. But yeah, he's done the math. He's like, he sees where he's going with another big win, but he's getting paid like he's still a Contender Series, which is already too low even for those guys to be paid, right? And so he's like politely like talking around it. And case in point, it comes down to it's contract season. He's like, if I want to talk like this, put my ass on the line, and if I want a new contract, if I want more money, I'm gonna have to back it up. I'm gonna have to win above all else, right? And in his footage, he's doing a lot of grappling. He's been doing a lot of grappling tournaments in between fights, whether it's with other UFC middleweights like Eric Anders or my guy GM3, Gerald Mearshart. This guy's staying really active and really putting that in. And then you go even read I know they're just posts, they're just interviews, whatever, but all these dots, they have a common thread, they have a connection here, right? And you go read the actual captions of some of these posts that are showing him doing a lot of grappling. And whether it's what he's saying, what he's writing, they are the same message. I am a complete fighter. I want to show that I'm a complete fighter. I need to win. If I want what I want, and if I want to make the statements I got to get past this guy with a win to get to the next contract. It's contract season. Win above all else, folks. Grappling trends, right? And even Abdul Razak Alhassan, who is Judo Thunder, sure, but it's no secret that, you don't have to just do the Surdog breakdown to see that he's got 0 submissions. The guy primarily uses his judo to stand, but along with trying to pace himself, which he, again, Alhassan has openly said this, not just both his intention, his team has been down his throat for multiple camps to pace himself, and sure enough, he gets his first win outside of the second round. Sure enough, he's actually mixing in takedowns. Now, I don't think it'll do him that well against a guy like Pyfer. I don't know how well it will do him in general unless he's actually going to do something with the takedowns, because A, that's how fights are scored, and B, if we're contextualizing it in the overhaul with this style, how it translates over a fight, you're just tiring yourself out, right? That's a guy you want to grapple if you're fighting him, because that's what's going to tire you out. We've seen it even with wrestlers. Just because it's their base doesn't mean they can't get tired doing it. I know it's that old, early mid-aught Mike Goldberg commentary that's still in like a lot of our heads. Not trying to pick on Goldie here, but he strikes so he could do this all day, right? It's like not necessarily, especially when it comes to the grappling, because grappling's fucking hard. Judo and wrestling particularly, okay, it's fucking hard. It's tiring. So yeah. I think that's the smart move here. And so for that reason, all signs actually point to over. It's not just being cheeky, Dan chasing plus money, which, to be fair, you can accuse me of both those. But no, I think I pointed out the quiet trends on both sides on why not just the market is asking you to, but there's quiet value analysis-wise in that plus money. I got it at plus 165. I put 1 unit on the over. If I can find, I haven't been able to find Pyfer by sub for anything north of plus 500. I would like that plus 550 that I see posted around. If I can find that, I may sprinkle on that, but I'll probably just put that on a round robin instead, because I've already really exposed like a pervert hanging outside of a Sunday school here. You know what I'm saying? I do not need any exposure. Damn, why do you have to use that weird analogy? But yeah, like that's what I'm going to go for on that fight. The over is the play, and I'll be picking Pyfer by submission round 2. Maybe round 3. I don't know. If he doesn't round 2, hopefully it's over. But by the end of round 2, beginning of round 3, I think he can get a submission. We'll go round 3. I'm playing the over 1.5. Stupid. All right. Next fight. Alex the Great White Morono plus 142. Joaquin Buckley minus 170. Thinking of an old roommate who used to have a T-shirt. I'm not even kidding. He didn't seem to have a racist bone in his body. He was from Boston, but it was it looked like a cartoon shirt. It was like a blue T-shirt, and like it had like a Star-Kissed tuna looking like cartoon shark, great white shark, and the great white shark is like doing a Tony the Tiger, and he's saying it's great to be white. It was terrible. It's very racist. I don't know why I thought of that. That was a very long time ago. I have a lot of questions about that guy. Now that I think about it, like, wow, Dan, really? You have a lot of questions about a guy wearing a racist T-shirt. I'm just saying. All right, anyways, wow. Inappropriate stuff sprinkling in. Speaking of which, we got Great White Morono versus Aoriqileng-Buckley. All right, wow. Way to set the table for a breakdown on this fight, Dan. This is tough. You know me, I want to pick Morono here. I got to go rewatch the heartbreak of that Tim Means fight. But the old Southpaw report was basically Morono was 1-0 against Southpaws. He beat Keita Nakamura, but if you go watch the fight, he probably arguably should have lost to Keita Nakamura, especially, under today's criteria emphasis. And is also one of those fights where you can go back and retrack the round. It's even a judge that I greatly respect. But it's just like Morono is my pet peeve, where Morono gets hurt to the body and hunches over and backs up. And I don't even think it was a particularly competitive round, but let's just say it was a really competitive round. Outside of that, it still should be a no-brainer that Morono loses that round. He did not, retracing those scorecards. And that fight was forever ago, so you can't really hang on to it anyways. He lost to Keita Nakamura by split. Okay. But yeah, he still won a round. It just irked me that he still won a round that he probably shouldn't have. And then I didn't really watch the Tim Means fight. That's part of the reason why I picked Tim Means. And, sure enough, my guy Tim Means cashes a ticket. Because, again, just like staying with the people you're fading, maybe stay with the people you're supporting, too, sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Even when it's the old dog for his last ride, which is probably the last time I'll support Tim Means out there, so that was nice. But, yeah, from what I remember, Tim Means was doing good, and I was looking like a genius. And then, sure enough, it's the typical Tim Means club and sub the opposite way, right? He gives it up. I actually feel like this fight's going to be the opposite, the other way, where, like, Morono is going to be like, oh, yeah, Morono's doing it for the unathletic dudes, right? Because I love Morono's attitude. I've told Coach Safe this. Like, I'm a huge... It doesn't matter if you see me pick against Morono. Know that I'm always a huge Morono fan, because I am. And that's why I want to pick him here, and I would even love to take a flyer on him. But I'm overexposed already. I don't really need to dog hunt, especially for a plus 150 dog. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather just take a flyer on a Bobby Green or a Ricky Glenn for those odds, right? At this point, right? The vets here. But Buckley, even though his chin isn't impeccable either, like, we shouldn't be surprised if Morono rocks him here, folks. But this is the kind of fight that Morono could lose in the first round that we've seen him lose before. It's got that archetype to it. And then B, Buckley's been able to kind of dog through some fights too, and just will be having some really impactful offense, even though Morono was very consistent with his jab and his offensive offerings as well. And then, maybe Buckley gets like a late finish or a second. Buckley could get a finish in any round of this fight. I would not be surprised, to be honest. So I'm probably going to pick Buckley, and my heart is going to be with Morono. Drew Dober, minus 500, comeback on Ricky. These aren't Sunday school kids. These are drug peddling midgets. What's your name? Ricky. Ricky Glenn, plus 360. I love me some Ricky Glenn. Stroke me, stroke me, stroke. I don't know if he comes out to that, but it's just classic because he has his like handlebar mustache, and he comes out to like fucking whatever song that Adam Sandler pulls up to High School and Billy Madison, like it's still in the 80s. Remember that scene? I don't know. I think I do. Maybe I don't. It's hard to tell what the hell Ricky Glenn's doing, whereas like Aoriqileng-Buckley is jumping around everywhere, and you don't know if that's good or better. Well, Aoriqileng-Buckley, Jesus. Drew Dober, we know what he's doing. Sorry, I'm all over the place, folks. Sorry, I'm trying to get through this. Southpaw. By the way, Ricky Glenn, his Southpaw report record here. I might have to go and spot check this, but he's actually faced a couple. Gavin Tucker, who he beat the crap out of. So that makes him 1-0. Felipe Nover, I'm pretty sure Nover was orthodox, but he could have been a southpaw. Evan Dunham's a southpaw. Lost to Evan Dunham, but I didn't go back to watch that fight, over half a decade ago, to see if Rick Glenn had moments. Rick Glenn also took that fight on short notice. It was a competitive fight, too, back and forth, despite being a UD kind of a deal. So there's that. And then, those are the only two. Even going back to his regionals. Johnny Case would switch stance, but was mainly a orthodox fighter. Drew Dober wants to be more defensively minded, he says, going into this fight. That's what he was reminded of, but I don't know if he could, Ricky Glenn will allow you to have a conservative fight. I don't know if the small cage will allow you to have that with their styles in particular. So it's going to be violence, and all signs point to Dober probably ending this early. But now he's been shown to be hurt sometimes, and Rick Glenn, even though he's not typically a one-punch guy, you got that Joaquin Silva result in your head showing that, oh yeah, he can still whack. Excellent ground and pound. I mean, he's in the small cage. If he can just get it down to the ground, between making Drew Dober work and potentially hurting him, even if he doesn't finish him, just making him work, hurting him with some ground and pound, making him transition, that could shift the dynamic of the fight there. But the layoff, the activity, just don't know what you're getting with Ricky Glenn. How's his durability? How's his health? He's had something back and all this other issues, even though he does have underrated wrestling, as we did see in the Grant Dawson fight. Because you forget that he was actually showing good defense early in the rounds, from rounds 1 and 2 before, Grant Dawson able to Grant Dawson. I'm probably going to pick Dober here, probably by early finish. Again, they price you out of it. I think it's Ricky Glenn, dog or pass. Next fight, and again, I shit on the matchmakers, but props to them, man. Are we really opening the fight again? They're not doing the mandatory 6. They're actually allowing us 5-fight main cards and giving us some reprieve. They're not throwing all the big fucking guys and the heavyweights constantly on it. What do we have? Jake Collier or whatever. That would have been a co-main event, right? Or main card or whatever. God damn. But I got to give them credit, because now we're actually getting 155 or 145 openers. Bill Algeo, minus 115. Alexander-Hernandez, minus 105. Money coming in on Hernandez. Wow, I thought I got a good line on Bill Algeo at minus 120. Surprise, surprise. I don't know what I'm missing here. Alex Hernandez, we know he's training with a good team. He's been training with a good team for a minute. He's been training at elevation. But it's just something wired with him, both the way he explodes and the ways, I think his psychology of fighting. I think it's hardwired in his psychology to where if he's not the hammer, he doesn't really do well as the nail, And that's just the thing we've seen, and I've cashed on it with, Moicano and others at this point. I got burned early. Also got, some good, picking him to beat, Aubin Mercier as a dog, or this or that. So I cashed on him as well early, but once you learn from the Cerrone fight, you learn from that lesson, and you see that kind of still show up to this point, that's kind of there. And you know how I am with fighters if they have a breaking point. And then you have a fighter who likes to break guys and is a late thriver. You guys know where I'm going with this. It's Bill Algeo all day. Could Alex Hernandez win this fight? Maybe steal enough impactful moments. We've seen Bill Algeo kind of lose track of, what he's doing and get a little too silly, let the fight get away from him sometimes. And he makes enough mistakes to let this go to decision, where even though he felt like he was winning the whole time, the judges saw big moments that really didn't either land cleanly, or even if they land decently, they didn't hurt him at all, but they make the big, Alexander Hernandez, big, impact, right? That He-Man style he has, the bouncing in and out, the exploding in and out style that he has, right? Does he steal that from the judge? Absolutely he could. But again, in this archetype, guys, I could be wrong here, but these tend to be the best, right? Whether it's, playing the guy to get the finish, like a Daniel Pineda to get a finish, or playing the guy to get the finish late, who comes on late, who has the better gas tank, which is more my style, more my accuracy. And that's it all day. Bill Algeo, of course, shout out to my guy, of course, shout out to D Love, but what about Master of Love, Derek Love, the D Love special, round 3 special, baby. That's right. I may split it into round 2 and round 3 because Algeo-Hernandez tends to kind of break in round 2 more than round 3, and Algeo, again, you just go for what interviews are interviews and post are post. But I like what I'm hearing out of this guy. I like where his head's at. I like that he's brought in fresh athletic bodies to train in, and even though not notable names or camps or whatever, so to speak, but having fresh younger bodies, athletes, wrestlers, all these different kind of types of bodies in the house to push him more than any of his other camps, and he's looking to go bonus hunting. Who isn't? It's Christmas shopping's right around the corner. The bonus hunters should be salivating, right? And Bill Algeo, man, he just seems like one of those guys who's practically kind of unkillable, I know he has some early submission losses in his career, but he is a dog, man. Even in defeats, that Ricardo Lamas fight and whatnot, this guy is a dog. He's a good scrambler, even though he gets taken down a lot. He's got that kind of Bobby Green wrestling style. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, I believe. He's got some good Muay Thai clinch. He's got those checking hook counters and stuff that could also hurt Hernandez. We saw even in decisions, people that could even counter him. Even if it goes to the decision, will kind of get in his head. Thiago Moises, a guy I'm not a fan of, who, I hate to use the R word, but I almost wanted to say it there. That was just such a bad decision that he got over Bobby Green. But what do? You call me complainer, but again, example number X13 or whatever, just this podcast of example that I learned and fucking cashed Thiago Moises as a plus money dog in that fight. And Algeo can hit counters even though he's not as consistent as a guy like Moises. He is much more dangerous and much more offensive output, which is ultimately what the judges are should be scoring for. That is Algeo in spades. He's always looking for offense no matter what phase or what time of the fight it is. He can come on late. He's a guy that I've targeted round 3 before. We haven't hit it. I think we're going to hit it this time. But I'm doing the round 2 as well just to be safe. Got Algeo round 3 plus 1,300. Round 2 plus 750. Both of those are Scottie Pippen's, baby. 0.33U. And that minus 120 to cover the money line in case he, for whatever reason, gets it done early or just gets it done by decision, which I think he can do too again. I think he's going to have to get through a hard round 1. Maybe you get a better line, but it's like they're already betting him down. The public's already betting him down to even money for you. So just kick for coverage here. I got it at minus 120, close enough for me, and I put 1.5 units on it. So it is the biggest bet. I got 2 1.5 unit bets on Bellator, and this is the lone 1.5 bet unit on UFC. So yeah, if Bill Algeo, especially Bill Algeo, round 2 or round 3 cashes, yeah, I'm definitely going to be splitting. I'm going to start sprinkling for funsies on the main event, That's when I'll do the Bobby Green 3 through 5. That's when I'll do the Grant Dawson plus 1,000 by split decision props for funsies, you know what I'm saying? To kind of celebrate, maybe, hopefully, knock on wood, a good night that we have coming. I know I've got my my high dive bad luck, bad karma tee on. I just like me, I like my black and yellow. And I'm still thinking positively, man, as much as I can. I'm still pushing through every week. It's been hell, but we're getting through this, folks. We're getting through this, not hell. I'm very grateful, but it's just been a lot's been going on behind the scenes. And again, pizza's amazing, right? I got an amazing job. I'm very grateful. But pizza's not good when you have it every day. And although I think I did take kind of a partial week off at the beginning of July because I had to help my family move and stuff. Yeah, again, I didn't get a week off, so I think I did the math. I'm working 21 weeks straight with no days off till Halloween, so that's just not healthy for you. So, but hey, man, we're making it happen. Still losing weight, still getting things done around the house, still bringing content to you guys, even on the off week. Still doing it, man. Evergreen analysis, betting to nerd shit. We got you covered. Smash that like button. Let's fucking go. I'm going to give it a retweet, and then we'll get to the next fight and we'll close out the prelims on here. Actually, I'll go and give you guys some love. in the chat answer your questions there. All right. Here we go. Synchro way. No. The Jack Slack timestamp podcast. What's up? Hello. It would be wrong of me to open an Amazon. Would it be wrong of me to open an Amazon click through or donation to fund my project of Tamps? No, not at all. In fact, if you do, let me know. I will gladly, for all the help you've given me, I will gladly help and promote that. Give you a shout personally, just because you seem like a good dude, man. Sammy Arnett. The Ismagulov versus Cutelaba-Lins fight was a banger. It was an absolute banger. Just left a bad taste in my mouth for obviously betting bias reasons, which suck on it's my problem, not yours. But yes, you're absolutely right. Ghost, my favorite part of the Ismagulov game is his body jab. Yeah, he's got a nice body jab, and or the habit of reaching with his right hand to square his stance with stabbing with the body jab. Yeah. I feel you there. Jin Karasu, do you know Mike's MMA picks? He has a cool show like yourself. Yeah, man, I know Mike. Mike is a very friendly guy in the betting space. I know I talk a lot of shit about betting space. There are good people in it, and I will try to shout those people out as much as I can. And Mike's guy, I have shouted out before, and we'll shout out again. Mike's MMA picks. Go check out his fight day breakdowns. James Kendrick, how do you escape the body triangle? Is it impossible to escape? No, it's not impossible to escape. There's the typical way, which they always tell you on commentary, go to the side to unlock it. Ismagulov and lighter weight fighters, skinnier guys, they can't actually just turn into it. It's tough. You usually need some kind of assist, like a 2-on-1 baseball grip, 2-on-1, rotate the hand, maybe get your head pressed outside of their tricep, and turning in that way, that might break the triangle. Or if you were sly enough and get a good angle enough, you can turn in and reverse them that way. And I'm sure there are many more ways that people better than me can articulate. Ghost, also a fan of Bobby Green's understanding of creating counter pressure to disrupt positions, like you term from Synchro exampled, I think. Yeah, no, I appreciate that shout. Yeah, I love counter pressure. Part of the reason why I'm hurting is because the guy kept going for leg locks, and I was just creating that counter pressure. I'm a little careful about, especially guys who don't know what they're doing when you get hurt when you do the spin and spin outs, especially if you're deep in. But I had a guy that kept going for him, and I just did the cross. I just like a body triangle, figure four my leg, so to speak, there, like a triangle choke to protect him with the leg that's getting caught. And then I immediately look to sit up and in to the attacker. And even though you're also giving them debasing pressure to go deep under you and kind of change the angle on the leg lock, as I go in, I reach and I usually try to grab them here, under their arm, grabbing up, or under their arm, grabbing up here. And all I need is that grip, and then I pull myself into them as they are between me and the mat. I am the hips high pressure, and you pull that, and that breaks their grip. And then I actually fell right into an arm triangle and was able to tap them with an arm triangle. It fell right into. And it's all from counter pressure, baby. Rios in Truesdale, pervert hanging around a Sunday school. Love the analogy. I'm going to use that one at random times. Won't make you very many friends, but you can use it. James Kendrick, instead of the R word for bad decisions, you can use the word redacted like Jack Slack does. I like that. Shouts to Jack Slack. X said equals tweeted. I got you. Cool. All right, prelims time. We'll knock out the rest of this. We got Iwan Cutelaba minus 135. Pyfer-Alhassan plus 114. Money coming in on Lins steadily, maybe? No, money coming in on Cutelaba steadily, if anything. That's surprising. I didn't look into this fight, admittedly, but it's hard to trust Iwan Cutelaba. Pyfer-Alhassan looks like he really transformed himself again, going back down to 205. I know the fights haven't been the greatest, but, I don't know, man. If this guy's durable enough, I may end up actually picking him here. Maybe he ends up in it. He's not a great price, so, but maybe he ends up in the dog round robin or something. Something like that. We'll see. But, I think Lins actually, I'm surprised to see Cutelaba favored. Maybe it's because I didn't do tape on the fight, so don't effing listen to me. But yeah, I'll be leaning toward Lins. We'll see what I pick on fight day at Dan Tom MMA. Diana Belbita plus 130. Karolina Kowalkiewicz Minus 155. I'll probably go with double K, but this is a fight that I don't know. I don't look into. I don't intend on looking into, and I don't have much to give you. I know Kowalkiewicz has kind of reinvigorated her career since moving to American Top Team, so there's that. I don't remember a lot about Belbita, so there's that. Aoriqileng, the Mongolian murderer, minus 108. Johnny Munoz, minus 112. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is, minus 150, I think I agree more to that, and that's still playable chalk, not just from my definition, but with the context of this fight. I know, you're falling into the trap to bet back Aoriqileng. Well, he was really good to me, and then he got randomly knocked out by Ayman Zahabi. Was that kind of a fluky thing? I don't know, but the problem was it was only 4 months ago. So I usually like 6 months between the knockout losses, but sometimes they come back, and that recency bias, although it's not just recency bias, is in the negative connotation that we and I am attaching to it, the shade, if you will. It's justified recency bias, right? It's head trauma, something we should take seriously. Not just as gamblers, but as human beings. But yes, as a rule, whether it's for gambling or concern or any of those things, yeah, I like 6 months, not 4. That definitely is a flag. I'm going to keep that same energy and admit that. But Johnny Munoz is not a big knockout puncher. He's got a good jab, but he really hasn't developed a lot of that. His main thing is jiu-jitsu, but he really hasn't developed his wrestling in, a division that has some good wrestlers, at least very good defensive wrestlers, and he's more likely to maybe even do a guard pull. Now, he can be in ugly fights, and the small cage caters itself to an ugly fight, so maybe we get that, but even in that case, we get an ugly fight that goes to decision, and, Aoriqileng, you can look at the round 3 ended the Jay Perrin fight, like he took more shots, even though he was comfortably ahead. You don't like to see a guy take those shots, and I agree. And you could argue even more so when you see what happened to him in his last fight, So hopefully he took the memo. But you know me, I'm a big fan of these Asian fighters that cross train over at the Fight Ready. Aoriqileng, the Mongolian murderer. I think he can do that. Johnny Munoz, I know he has 2 TKOs on his career. One of them is listed as a KO. It was a half decade ago against some guy named Anthony Zender. The other one is in 2016 against a guy named Gore Manasaki, and these are like King of the Cage. Like, who knows who these people are? This guy's record is 6-13. Yeah, there's that. That's who he knocked out. Yeah, I feel like this is Aoriqileng all day, any way he wants, kind of a deal. And you're going to give me down at even money. I got him actually down at minus 105. I think that's where it was going to tap out, so I just pulled the trigger. Just over a unit, 1.05. I did 1.50. That's a unit and a half for Algeo. But for Aoriqileng, it's 1.05 to match the minus 105, so I get a clean 1 unit return. Hopefully here. And I won't make a break on it, but, everything counts. Everything adds up. So, I didn't do heavy tape study on that, but I've done obviously heavy tape study before on Aoriqileng, and from interviews to tape on Munoz before. So I will admit that, folks. As bad as that is to say, that's how most people do their plays, whether they admit it or not. But yeah, I come clean with it. So not that I'm telling you guys to tail me, anyways, but you know how it is. All right, next fight, if I might. Kanako Murata minus 325. Morono-Demopolous plus 260. The line keeps going up. I wanted to pull a trigger on a plus 280 because I feel like plus 280 and above, you pretty much have to auto bet. Not just WMMA dogs, lower level, but was not impressed with Kanako Murata. She's coming off a really long layoff after getting her arm broken by Verna Jenny Droba. And Demopolous will throw herself some kicks. She does have some opportunism and some pop for that division and the WMMA. And even though Kanako Murata grappling is her strength, the more finishing fighter threat, you could argue, is Demopolous, right? She is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt herself. She is working with one of the 2 coaches I'm familiar with, one that I'm working with right now for grappling, my guy Bryce Harley, who's worked with everybody from like Claudio Gadelia in the past to others. He's a black belt, very active coach at Extreme Couture. And then, of course, Dennis Davis, I believe, as well. Unheralded, the Piranha, old school. Fought Nate Diaz, old school Team Quest guy. So she's been getting good rounds out here in Vegas. She usually loses by decision. Again, opportunists who are the more finishing threat. You got to balance out somewhere, right? Whereas Murata, she's kind of half and half. Half her wins come by finish, and half by decision. So I think Demopolous is live all day. I'm going to be picking her. Part of me wants to just shoot a play on her. I wanted to finish running the full comb through this Bobby Green and Grant Dawson fight first, and to be honest, even regardless of that, I just think I'm over budget right now, or I'm right on. Yeah, I mean I'll be betting just slightly over my 7.5 unit average. I'll probably be right at 8 units to just above 8 units, maybe even more. We'll see. Probably more actually. So yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. Plus, do I really want to double down? I mean, if even though Pyfer by submission would make sense, especially if I save myself playing it, I put in the round robin. But Algeo, but round 3, of course, I got to play my round props in the round robin. That was going to be another one. If I'm limited, or if you want to make the argument, do I really need Algeo round 3? Look how much I'm already over 2 units exposed on Algeo. Do I need him in that round robin? If he wins, he's going to pay off for me. He could potentially make my night if he wins alone. Do I need him in that round robin? Even though he is so far one of the more confident plays between both cards for me, you could argue that I don't need him there, right? But even if I do put him there, that still leaves 2 slots. Again, Alex Morono, not sexy enough, the number, and I'm not picking him. Not picking Rick Glenn, but that number is sexy enough, and so is Bobby Green, but maybe I could save that for the off track where I have to have all dogs, right? But for this one, I got 2 slots open, and I'm already planning to put Vanessa-Demopolous definitely in the round robin. Maybe I put Pyfer-Alhassan in there as well. Again, there's not a lot that I like on the Morono-Buckley fight. Glenn Dober, as far as props go, it's real dangerous to play that game there. And we'll get to the rest of them. I mean, Aoriqileng, I'm already kicking for coverage with his money line, and it gets even real shifty trying to play totals or methods on those fights. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I end up with Algeo round 3, Pyfer sub, Pyfer-Alhassan, and Demopolous money line for the round robin or something like that. But yeah, I'll be picking Demopolous, not just in Toutmaster, but for my actual pick. Mateusz Mendonça, minus 245 with the comeback on Nate-Man ass, baby. Ass to ass. No, Requiem for a Dream, Man ass. Plus 200. Yeah, I don't like this. Both guys are like bantamweights killing themselves and go down to flyweight, so that's interesting. X factor. And I don't know if Maness's game necessarily needed to go down to flyweight, to be honest. I haven't watched tape on this one. I got to refresh myself on Mendonça. I'm sure he's favored for a reason. I'll lean that way, see what I pick on fight day, but I am in no rush to go do tape on this fight or play it, to be honest. All right, lastly but not leastly, JJ Aldrich. Cast around 2 for JJ Aldrich. Plus 124. She is taking this fight on short notice, so she opened as a favorite. Perhaps it's short notice, perhaps because it's JJ Aldrich. The line is completely flipped to Montana De La Rosa is now the favorite, minus 148. I actually am leaning toward Aldrich. Montana De La Rosa has a decent southpaw record, I think, too, to go through as well. I didn't get to do it this week. Sorry, folks. No southpaw report, 3-event week. Trying to get everything done. Apologies. But, she lost to Suarez. Granted, that was a grappling match. It was a southpaw. Barber switches stances, to be fair, but fights from southpaw. So how do you count that? Got to go back and look at that. Mara Borella. Like, she fought like most of her, like half her career in the UFC southpaw and half not. So I got to go back to see what part of her career did she fight Mara Borella, and if it was even, fucking apropos or fucking, how much it even mattered in the fight. Nadia Kassem. I think Nadia Kassem. I think she was a southpaw, but she was, not to pick on Nadia Kassem. She was also really terrible, so I don't know how much it mattered if she was a southpaw. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so like, I'm not sure about that. What I do know is that De La Rosa is the natural flyweight, even though me and many seem to. I'm glad I'm not alone here. We all think she's like a former strawweight because she doesn't look that physical, but she is. She should be bigger than JJ Aldrich, who used to fight at strawweight and is still, she's not the most athletic girl or the most, sizable girl still. Even though she's got some underrated grappling, I believe she's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to go with her black belt in Taekwondo. I still see De La Rosa having the grappling edge. And even at worst, even against better jiu-jitsu fighters, more dangerous jiu-jitsu fighters, and dangerous clinch strikers like Shitara Mayra Bueno Silva. Even though that shouldn't have been a draw, Shitara beat the shit out of her. She still was able to make those fights, to her credit, ugly, right? And JJ Aldrich, even when she's winning, she feels like a fighter that can just randomly lose, right? Now, she was going against a do-or-die fighter. And again, you know how I feel about those. When the angle is clear, I will take it. And J.J. Aldrich cashed for us then. But, she also can kind of give fights away too. So we're in the small cage, the bigger / superior grappler, both in practice and on paper being De La Rosa. Yeah, I don't hate the line movement, but the value is absolutely on Aldrich. It feels like it's dog or pass. But I'll go with the superior grappler, the natural flyweight, the fighter who is not fighting on short notice in Montana, De La Rosa. All right, how did we do on time before we clean up the chat and recap picks? We still went an hour and 30. Fucking Christ, Dan. You really skipped 2 recaps and you still ended up that long? Sorry, folks. All right, I'm going to clean up the chat here. Let's see here. James Kendrick. Oh, Diana Belbita. Ghost has a funny clip of Santino DeFranco imitating her striking style. Gonna tag you. Please do. I want to check that out. Rio says in Truesdale, the fight we all want to see is Ghost versus Schwan Hume. Those two go after each other for no reason on X, and it's really funny. Really? I didn't notice that. Oh, man. Oh, no. I'm going to close my eyes. I don't want to see my friends fight. Jin Karasu. Although, I got love for Ghost as the Enforcer, baby. Jin Karasu. Oh, it would be great for Kanako Murata to... Oh, would it be great for Kanako Murata to lose just because Risen fans keep saying she would have beaten Weili in 2018? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's... fun fact, Weili vs. Kanako was made in 2018 but fell through when Weili went to the UFC. That's right. Wow, okay. Well, that'll be extra icing on the cake then, would it not be? For Demopolous to win. That would be awesome. Jack Slack Timestamp Project, he says, you are an awesome analyst. Love sending people positive messages because I like seeing people happy. You're the man. I appreciate you, man. That's awesome. I appreciate all you guys. Hit the like button. Appreciate that. Likes match viewers. I can't really ask for much more. Positive comments, shares. If you haven't went to iTunes, if you're not an iTunes user, I believe you can still leave like a rating and review. 5-star rating and review, please. I'll read those in the show. Again, click-throughs at mixedmartialanalyst.com. Go to mixedmartialanalyst.com, my website that supports this here free program. All you do is scroll and perhaps toggle to the right slightly if you're on the mobile. Fire rises. Sorry. But you can click on your Amazon and your On It click-throughs and do your shopping at no extra cost and just 2 extra clicks. No extra cost. Small percentage of your purchases gets kicked back to this here program. We'll read your purchases from Amazon, but it won't tell me who you are, so don't worry about that. Or above those links or in the link tree at Dan Tom MMA on all social platforms. You can find me at the cheeky underscores on Instagram. In the link trees, you can find secure PayPal donation links. If you just want to support the show straight up, perhaps improve your karma and luck, as I'm wearing the Bad Luck, Bad Karma from High Dive Apparel. Appreciate you guys. So go ahead and do that. Of course, D-Love, shout out to my guy. Use code PROTECT15. D-Love's Turmeric Tonic to get your code. As I have a sipperoo. Jimmy Kudo in the house saying, great show. Lots of positivity today. Love it. I've been trying to, man. I've been trying to. It's all you can do in life. And I appreciate you guys. The least I could do for you guys who support me. I appreciate you guys. All right. Recapping picks and plays. Picks. Taking Usman Nurmagomedov at Bellator over Brent Primus, sorry. Taking Cyborg over Kat Zingano. Taking I wanted to say Ilima-Lei Macfarlane. Carmouche over Ilima-Lei Macfarlane. Jumping over to UFC. Sorry, everything is a bit jumbled around. I'll get to that last question. Michael Panza, appreciate the new name in the chat. Just for that reason, I'll get to it. I'll squeeze it in the recap here. But going over to UFC, I am probably taking Dawson over Green, although it's complete dog or pass unless you're playing like Dawson by sub or a Dawson by split decision or something like that. So check me on Fight Day at Dan Tom MMA. My quick picks and prognostications, MMAJunkie.com. On Fight Day, we'll have those details and final analysis. I am taking, I don't want to be Joe Pyfer, but I will pick Joe Pyfer over Aldrich-De I will probably end up picking Buckley over the Great White Morono, even though my heart will be with Morono. God, why did I share that weird thing earlier? I will take my heart will be with Rick Glenn, but I'll probably take Drew Dober. Tick toys, Drew Dober. Tick him as tick toys. Over Ricky Glenn, even though it's a dog or pass from there. Bill Algeo, baby. All day, Bill Algeo. Give me Algeo over Hernandez, a.k.a. Mark Wahlberg from Fear. Probably going to take Pyfer-Alhassan over Cutelaba, but see if that's for sure, whether it's as a pick or a round-robin play or not on Fight Day at Dan Tom MMA. Probably be taking Karolina Kowalkiewicz over Diana-Belbita. Again, check me for my final picks and plays at Dan Tom MMA, the artist formerly known as Twitter, on Fight Day. Taking Aoriqileng, the Mongolian murderer, over Johnny Munoz. Taking Morono-Demopolous over Kanako Murata. We'll probably lean toward Mateusz Mendonca over Nate Maness, but again, check me on Fight Day / don't take me too seriously on that one. And even though, I got love for JJ Aldrich, I'm going to take Montana-De La Rosa. Mama Montana. Mama times. Easy there. Over JJ Aldrich. And as far as plays go, Bellator. We got 3 1.5 unit plays, folks. A lot of money going out. Hopefully we got some money coming back in. I got Usman Primus under 1.5 rounds at plus 120 for 1.5 units. I am playing Cyborg Cat Zingano over 2.5 rounds at plus 125 for 1.5 units, as well as Sprinkled Cyborg, round 3 plus 550, round 4 plus 700, round 5 plus 700 at 0.17 U a piece there. Kicking it down to UFC, we got Bill Algeo's minus 120, 1.5 units is our play. Hey, stink up, you little tired girl over there. And we got Aoriqileng, the Mongolian murderer, minus 105, 1.05 units for a unit return. Algeo round 3, plus 1,300. Algeo round 2, plus 750. Scotty Pippins for both of those, 0.33 U sprinkles. And for totals in the UFC side, we got Pyfer-Alhassan over 1.5 at plus 165 for 1 unit. May end up just firing on Morono-Demopolous if she's still setting at plus 280. And for the round robins, we're leaning toward Pyfer by submission. Maybe some Algeo round 3, some Demopolous money line. And maybe we throw the heavyweight in there, the former heavyweight Pyfer-Alhassan at a measly plus number. If I end up on that side, who knows? Maybe I get cheeky with it and throw Bobby Green in there if I do end up on the green side. Or just, even if I don't end up on the green side, I may play him anyways because if Bill Algeo comes through and we're having a good night, again, I'm going to be looking to sprinkle for funsies. Grant Dawson split decision if I can get in the neighborhood of plus 1,000. Bobby Green decision, which I got to imagine is going to be between 800, hopefully, plus 800 to plus 1,000 range, somewhere in there. Maybe sprinkle small on Bobby Green rounds 3, 4, and 5. Regardless of what side you're on, that'll help you make you feel alive, baby. That's what I'm looking to target. Of course, I'll post everything at Dan Tom MMA. I'm going to go post my picks after this. Again, I've barely had time to eat. I even made time to go see my grandma today. Barely had time to sleep. Even pay myself. Do therapy. Believe me, folks, it's not because I'm being fucking lazy here. So I'll get it up on the Action Network app, as I always do, as I always account for. Hopefully you appreciate this free stuff here. Michael Pounds says, what's up, Dan? Have you ever been offered any analyst job at regional promotions? You're great at what you do. Keep up the good work. I appreciate that, man. Hopefully, again, if I can do good and end the year with some extra ducats, I'm going to use it to travel. I'm also going to use it to buy a suit so I can start really putting myself out there and offering these regional promotions and knocking the door down. Let's get me some analyst roles. I will make the former fighters or whoever else is in that booth look good. They can travel off my coattails. Like other analysts who perhaps in the UFC have used my notes and helped before, believe it or not. So I'm going to be fighting for my chance. You can either complain about it or get the fuck out and do it. I'm trying to get the fuck out and do it, but I got to get money first. I'm a slave to this capitalistic bullshit. I'm living check to check as well, folks. So let's cash some checks. Let's get some good karma our way. I know the shirt says bad luck, but it's good luck, baby. We're going to turn it around. I'm in a good mood. You got to notice the positivity because it ain't bullshit. We're pushing through. Rain, sleet, or shine, winning or losing year, I'll be accounting for it. We will be here. Hit that like button at the PYN Podcast on all social platforms. At Dan Tom MMA with the cheeky underscores for the Instagram. Support the show. Protect Your Neck Podcast at mixedmartialanalyst.com for all the click-throughs, 5-star ratings and reviews, shares, likes. It all helps. Tag me. Show the love. Let's get out there. Whatever you do, have at it. Good luck on your picks and plays, and always protect your neck.